All junglers at some point or another have wondered, how did the enemy jungler control the game so easily? How does the challenger jungler do it every game? And you all know what it's like to have a high elo smurf against you. And if you're wondering if there's some secret jungle stuff that you can drink, inhale, and snort in order to be the jungler that controls every game in Season 14, well, yeah, it's this video. So we're going to break down 2 challenger games, including a canyon video going through a variety of scenarios. So as we will start off with this first game, remember that the game you played before this will be the last one where you no longer control your own destiny. Now in this one we have a Lee Sin versus a Kindred, and the next one will have more of a farming style jungling tempo, so you have both examples. Aggressive, farming, ganking, whatever you can imagine, we're covering it all in this video. And the Lee Sin at this point recognizes, okay, Kindred's down at the bottom side, doing an invade, HP compromised. You look at the clock and you realize, they're gonna have to go and start their blue buff without a leash or with a leash, but they will not have time to protect their red side. So what the challenger Lee Sin does is say, look, I'm gonna go and invade those raptors and start there, but I'm gonna do it a bit slower and do it super late. Now I've seen a few people saying, well, no one's talking about this invade jungle clear. You know, you go from raptors to grub, you know, you invade them and stuff like this with the open map. Everyone's talking about it, everyone's doing it. That's why I'm including this strategy here. Now the Kindred, obviously, this is why I don't tell you to go for these invades. I prefer you to ward your buff so you can see what the Lee Sin is doing. But regardless, the Kindred does a level 2 gank, and even though the Lee Sin's gonna take all of this, ask yourself what you would do in the next phase here. Do you go ahead and gank the Aatrox? Do you skip ganking the Aatrox and just control your blue side? If the Kindred sequence is up, then the Kindred's gonna recognize all those camps are gone and thus be able to invade you. Are you worried about that? Alternatively, the Kindred could go ahead and gank your bottom side, which means you might be able to actually skip your blue side, potentially gank mid lane, and cover that, and cover your red side in case it was warded when you stole the red. Which one do you do? I will give you the answer, but while you think about that, if you don't know, you absolutely must head to Virkayu.gg. I have a free jungle improvement resource as well as a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries, weekly free video content seen nowhere else, as well as Q&As and patch note rundowns, as well as a private jungle Discord. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's making junglers reach their goals, as we saw with the record number of people hitting them at the end of Season 13. If you want to climb faster than anyone you know, jungle diff every game you play, click the link below or head to Virkayu.gg. Yeah, none of that nonsense. We go straight back to base because no one at this particular moment knows we're here. We know this because every one of the red team was on the invade. Kindred will now go back to base after level 2 ganking on the bottom lane and will be trying to defend their red side camps. And go to the top side and realize, oh, Lee Sin stole all my stuff. And the Lee Sin says, I know that the Kindred's either gonna go back to base after trying to gank, I know the Kindred's either gonna go and sequence all the way to the top side, and thus, regardless, I know the Kindred will be on the top side of the map, which means we can use this pressure to gank bottom lane, take away that entire invest that the Kindred had early. And the first thing about being in control of the game is make a guaranteed play. Don't coin flip your invades too much. This was a very good strategic late invade. And now you can take the Scuttle Crab after your gank, and you might be thinking, hey, I should go do my red side. That's the safe play, right? Don't be afraid to make the guaranteed play, which is Kindred's gonna go for the other Scuttle 99%. Go mid lane, gank mid lane, push up mid lane, create a priority situation, and go and cut them off from the topside Scuttle. Now from Kindred's perspective, you want to be the jungler that's feared, right? The Lee Sin should chase you around the map. Your team should help you get those marks, not the other way around. So you take your raptors. Now the Lee Sin will have no choice but to either follow you all the way down to the red side, a waste of time, or go ahead and just do his blue side. And yes, as you saw this transpire, you understand that this is a tempo adjustment from the Lee Sin and the Kindred. If you're not able to adjust your game plan, adjust where you need to be and where you should be and where you have to be to deny the enemy jungler, then you're not going to be able to really control games. And we'll keep going here and you'll understand exactly what I mean. From the Lee Sin's perspective, it's like, look, I'm going to put you down on that side, you enjoy, I'm going to get 3 grubs for myself. And in this case, I have no issue with these grubs because I think it's great for these kinds of champions when you want to snowball and win early, provided you're going to hit turrets. We'll talk about the grubs a little bit later. The Kindred takes the raptors, takes the Krugs, dives bottom lane, gets to now hang out on the bottom side. But that's just it. The Kindred is hanging out on the bottom side. Takes a second spawn grump, yeah, they have the walls up as well, but the Lee Sin's taken the grubs, the Lee Sin's blue side is down, the Lee Sin has no camps on the bottom side, so Kindred does what any jungler would do in this situation, which is go ahead and gank the bottom lane, try and actually get ahead of the Lee Sin to prevent him from getting freebies on the bottom side. Even though the Kindred's able to get some kills, move up through the river, get that Scuttle Crab, the Lee Sin shows up and gets a cleanup kill, so the Lee Sin gets yet another one. Then the Kindred decides to go mid lane, get a gank off, gets even more stuff, but the Lee Sin shows up and gets some more of his own. Then he falls back to his red side camps and you can see the Kindred nervously going to their top side thinking, okay, this is not so bad, you know, I'm 3-0-2, I got a bunch of CS, You know, Lee Sin's a little bit ahead, but that's okay, he wasted time on the grubs. Except he goes to the bottom lane, is able to get another kill, which again forces the Kindred now to say, well, Lee Sin's there, I better go gank topside. The problem is, even though the gold lead is really damn equal for both teams, and Kindred's bottom lane is hard winning, Lee Sin's top lane is also hard winning, which means both junglers actually, and I'll show this in a split screen, end up dying. Yes, even challenger junglers die, my friends, because laners rotate, we bite off more than we can chew, we try and cut waves, steal camps, be greedy, we don't track which laners are fed, causes issues. Now though, the Kindred is gonna respawn, the Lee Sin's gonna respawn, and the second grubbies are about to come out of the void. I was going to make a hemorrhoid joke about that, but I'm not going to, I think you get it. Lee Sin is going to go to his top side, Kindred was just on their top side, so they're gonna go to the bottom side, as Lee Sin wants, and you can hear in the Kindred's voice, you know, hey Lee Sin, you see? I normalized your invade. And a lot of players like this Kindred have decent KDA, decent farm, they've done okay, and they feel in charge. And then the Lee Sin says, do you feel in charge? And channels his inner Bane as they meet in the mid lane, and Kindred realizes that in fact they are not Bane and Lee Sin is. The mask is over his eyes instead of his mouth, but you get the idea. The whole point of this was, even though the Kindred felt like they were doing equal and opposite, they were counter jungling, diving, getting some kills back, but it didn't do anything. And this little section here is a bit of making that aggressive play. If you have a small lead that you've accrued, you gotta use it like cash. You gotta have money to make money. You gotta have a small gold lead to make a bigger gold lead. And most junglers lack this fundamental most of all. They're able to have a good early game, right? They're able to have good tempo adjustment. But then they get these small accruals and they don't actually go ahead and make the aggressive play. Because it's not even that aggressive. I didn't say make a reckless low probability play. I said go ahead and make an aggressive play that you know you can win because you know your champions and you have a lead. It's just aggressive from the outside in. Did it ever feel like the Lee Sin was out of control of the game to you? And yes, most importantly, when you are in control of the game, you'll notice that the Lee Sin was always ready to react to things like the mid lane ganks twice. He was able to easily go and steal some raptors, he pushed the turrets, he used the grubs to hit the turrets, right? Get some plates. If you get grubs, after ganks and fights, push waves, hit plates. Otherwise, they're useless. But as you can see, if you're Lee Sin and you can get all six, get all six. Then the Lee Sin does what any good jungler would do as well. Hey, I got an objective after some kills and I pushed a turret and I did some counter jungling. Now I can do a gank. Snowball the winning top lane. So either your top lane is winning, you dive, you snowball, you take the turret, that's great with 6 grubs and mites, or your laner is just gankable, in which case you kill them, push the wave, and take the turret with 6 mites. Your reality doesn't change if you're a good jungler. And then the Kindred is gonna think, hey, but you know what? I'm gonna be able to take your Fire Dragon, yeah, and then I can take your Red. And as the Lee Sin, as the jungler in this situation, do you ever feel under stress? If you do about giving these things up, you're not in control. You've got to learn to understand when you actually have it and when you don't. And of course, when the enemy jungler is trying to trail you and everything like that, that's when they make a mistake. That's when they go a little bit too deep. They feel stressed to make something happen. The Lee Sin here is able to get some counter jungling to control the map a little bit. There's no real rush, we're still early, and then obviously sees the mark on the top side. So you know you've had a good game and understood this core principle when you can afford the time to simply cut across the map and defend and prevent them from getting anything. Now ideally, obviously in this situation, don't throw away, and this is the fourth fundamental here, don't throw away your hard work for some temporary fixation. Don't throw away those gold leads and experience leads and give shutdowns away to compositions who will be able to use it and turn the game around. Now the Lee Sin is obviously able to get some stuff back here, but you just don't want to put yourself in this situation. I'm always happy to give up that drop mark for the Kindred. And literally throwing this game away for a grump is potentially what you guys are doing, and just push the mid lane and obviously play around that, making that aggressive play like we mentioned. Now obviously this was a small little throw from the Lee Sin. Everyone's allowed to have 1 moment. Give yourself 1 moment, I guess a small little point here, that you kind of make this move and maybe it's a little bit too much. Lock it down, get in their face, take a few more kills, and then you'll jump all the way into the mid game, and that's not what this video is about, so we'll go ahead and go into our second game, looking at a Nidalee versus Gragas, ganking versus farming, no invades this time, and if you want to see how these games play out, go ahead and look in the description, those links are there for you. Now in this game we have a ganking jungler, so he's most likely going to look to do some sort of 12 CS, bottom lane gank spike, or top lane or mid lane or whatever. Gragas does that. The Nidalee is going to go ahead and full clear up and then gank the top side. Now we control the topside scuttle. Now control takes many forms and your champion will determine what the next one is. If you're a Fiddlesticks or Karthus, something like that, that really can't run into a Gragas' jungle, then you can go back to base and simply gank the bottom side, and then sequence all the way to the top side again, gank top lane, get the grubs, cool business. Or if there's no ganks there, just fully sequence up again, gank the top side, and then guarantee your grubs through that prior. That's a standard way. But most junglers, a lot of junglers here, can actually do this, where they know the enemy jungler's experience compromised. He's level 3, I'm level 4 because I did a full clear, get in his face. go and push him off of those raptors that he started on. You know this by doing your regular tracking exercises. This means you've now positioned yourself to stay out on the map a little bit longer, and this is Canyon. He is the jungle king, pun intended, of having these extended sequences where you don't gold reset because you know the enemy jungler is going to be forced to their Krugs, back to base into the bottom side, which means I don't really need gold to fight him because he's not even here. So I can go ahead and gank the Yone again, get a kill. That's always logical, right? You gank your lane, you burn some sums, you burn some TPs, go back again, and go quickly and soon, don't wait for that stuff to come up. And now, because we know Groggy Ice is on the bottom side, we get free grubbies. Again, emphasis here on the Nidalee and the Lee Sin, the pathing and the control, the tempo adjustments, everything I've said about these fundamentals allows them free grubs. And of course, giving up a dragon, who really cares if you're gonna actually use them to take plates and end the game? The same can be said though for the grubs. If you just give them up and take 4 dragons, you can also end the game that way by preventing the enemy from actually hitting the turrets themselves. But you know, make the right play, not the dumb play. And now because you know the Gragas is on that side, knows you've won top lane, knows you got the grubs, the guy like Kindred is gonna feel stressed, go for some gangs. We go back to base, we buy our items, and we collapse in on him. We go straight there. We're not thinking about camps. We know the Gragas is going to try and go for these things. Sure, in other games, you might have a jungler go for the dragon, but honestly, that's fine. I'll just gank their bottom lane, push up and get into his blue side jungle, ruin his life, pull back to my red side, repeat gank bottom lane, go back to base, take the grubs, spit in his jungle, laugh at his corpse. I mean, you can be a jungle abuser pretty damn easily. And of course, here we're lucky, we're Nidalee, the Jace doesn't kill us, but it's okay. I mean, you've got to play within the limits of your champion. This is the guaranteed play, the tempo adjustment, making that aggressive play. You have to know your champion, your item spikes, and when you can make these plays. I'm sorry, there's no sugarcoating it, there's no shortcut. If you don't know what you can do in your champion, you have to learn that first and then come back to this idea. Because as you can see, we use that for Hextech Dragon. We know Grux is going to go to our top side, so we take our red side. And then what do we do with it? Dive and gank bottom lane, so we take away everything that Gragas just gave to them. Even though he gets a kill from the top laner there, it's too early for him to stay for the grub respawn. There's nothing else for him to do on the top side. He decides to go back to base and rotate over to where the Nidalee is, but it's too little, too late. Much like the Lee Sin, no? We basically said, let me get in your face, let me deny you a few things early, let me remove you from the game through some sort of strategy, then I'm gonna go back to base here and just play away from you. I'll let you have whatever's in this little box while I eat the rest of the buffet. Now what Canyon does a lot that a lot of junglers don't do is normally here you could reset, go top side, take the second grubs, much like the Lee Sin, right? When the Gragas makes a gank or a play somewhere, we just collapse and kill them, we push some plates, and then we take the grubs. However, in this particular situation, we know the Gragas is gonna try and stretch the bottom lane play a little bit more, thinking that Nidalee's gonna go topside. So you know, we don't. We just collapse on him, start fighting, because we know we have a huge lead. We can make the aggressive play right now. At 9 minutes, at 8 minutes, at 10 minutes, you don't have to wait for 12, 15 to make these kinds of plays. That's why high elo is very, very different to the regular player base, because they're too slow with the stuff. You go grubs, you farm it up a bit more, it gives the enemy jungler time to catch up a little bit. It's silly. Just shut them down, you have the lead now. I don't get the grubs, you don't get the grubs, so, you know, I already have 3, I don't really care if I only have 3 and don't get 6. Now in terms of this particular game, I'm only showing you this little phase quickly because the Nidalee decides that she's only going to stick around bottom side. She wants to get in his phase, push him out of the jungle again, don't die for a grump and throw it away, but you're allowed one cheeky death of fun, which happens here. We're able to get another dragon, gank the mid lane, take all these camps, Gragas is forced to the top side. Sure, he gets a few things here and there, but it's really just a distraction. Hey, enemy jungler, would you like a few things? And it doesn't really amount to anything because you're killing everyone, getting everything. 14, 15 minutes shows up, you take the Herald. You've already totally won bottom lane with this play, you've won mid lane with this play. So while you might not have the challenger, you know, tempo control that Canyon does, you know, maybe you don't even play Nidalee, I can guarantee you even on my Zyra jungle picks, if you play Rengar, if you play Kha'Zix, if you play Udyr, if you just remember these 4 fundamentals and write them down, they're not magic pills, but it really does allow you to critique your jungling in the moment. Alright, what's the guaranteed play for me as my game plan? Alright, the jungler's done some weird things, what can I do as my tempo adjust to deny him any gains or goals and ensure I get some cool stuff? Now that I've got that cool stuff, let me make that aggressive play that I know I can do, let me make the mechanical move to actually start to push turrets and, you know, control that objective ping pong. And then what I'm going to do is be very intelligent about my aggressive play. I'm going to keep pushing that lead up, pushing the map up. I'm not going to farm too much, but I will not die from Gromp unless it's for a little bit of fun. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about how to actually apply this as a ganking or farming jungler, choose your adventure on the screen now.